In 1984, I was born into a hopeless situation. And I was raised in a hopeless situation, and then I became a hopeless situation. But my story is to tell you that there is no hopelessness in Jesus Christ. My name is Sheena, and this is my story. Growing up, I grew up in a drug addict's home. Both my parents were drug addicts, unmarried and young. I wasn't taken care of, and I grew up in a crack house until the age of 4. My father was a drug dealer, and I never saw my mother. He abandoned me when I was 4 years old at a babysitter's house, and it was my little sister and I. Before that time, I was just, malnourished. You can imagine living in a crack house. I wasn't taken care of very much, and just had sores all over me. I was a dirty little girl. Then from the ages of 4 to 13, I was placed with relatives that were very abusive towards me. They would physically beat me, they'd throw me up against walls, and degrade me, and just made me feel unwanted. I never felt loved my whole life. They're very abusive mentally, tell me that I was fat, I was ugly, I was stupid. They didn't want me, and I was a burden on them. I always felt like I was unwanted, that I was a burden, and I just remember just being, going to school and having bruises and having a fat lip and having a black eye and, having to lie, why do you have bruises on you? And I'd say, oh, I fell down the stairs or I fell off my bike and things like that. I just grew up in fear, not knowing that that wasn't normal. By the age of 10 years old, I started to realize that that wasn't normal, that every little 10-year-old little girl doesn't get abused at home, that they don't have to go through that, and they have parents that love them. I didn't know what love was. The only form of love I knew was sexual abuse, I guess. My aunt's father, during those years growing up in their house, he would sexually abuse me, and I thought it was normal. I didn't know it was wrong. I would look in the mirror when I was, 7, 8 years old and think I was pregnant. One day, I told my aunt what happened to me and that her father was abusing me, and she put me on the morning after pill, and she beat me up for it, and she told me that if I ever had a baby, she would kill it. Nobody would ever find out about that, and that I was a liar. She became very angry and resentful against me, having her father's attention focused on me instead of on her. Also, my aunt would always tell me that I was fat and ugly and things like that about my physical appearance. One time she took all my clothes out of the closet, and I was like, oh, where's all my clothes? She's like, you're going shopping. And I was like, oh yeah, we're going shopping, cool, And I was about 9 or 10 years old, and we went to a thrift store, and she pointed me to the old man section, and she told me to pick out the clothes I was going to wear until I lost some weight, until I became the perfect little girl she wanted me to be. And that's what I strive for my whole life. I strive for love. I strive to be what everybody wanted me to be. And unfortunately, I looked for love in the wrong places. At 10 years old, I became bulimic, an eating disorder. I hated myself. I would look in the mirror and cry, thinking of how ugly I was and things like that. I turned to drugs when I was 10 years old, started smoking weed. By the time I was 13, it progressed into, acid and things like that, and just didn't care. I didn't care about my purity anymore. I lost my virginity when I was very young. I don't even remember when. It was before I was 13 years old. I was raped repeatedly times, by different people, and I just didn't care. I had no worth of life. I had nothing. I would just do drugs every day. I'd wake up in the morning and do drugs to try to cover up that hurt and pain. By the time I was 13 years old, I wanted to end that pain. I wanted to end that deadly cycle that I was going in, and I didn't want to become like the parents that bore me into this world, so I thought suicide would be the best way. At the age of 13 years old, I attempted suicide, and I overdosed. I should be dead right now. By the grace of God, I'm not. I thought it was the answer. I thought it would end my hurt and pain. I thought it was the answer for my life. I just had nothing to live for. I had nothing. And I don't know. I moved in with he saved my life again. He knew I couldn't take anymore. He knew I couldn't take any more of that hurt and pain, and I would always wonder why. Why is it me? Why is this my life? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have drug addict parents and was abandoned? And why do I grow up in this? Why am I being sexually abused? What's wrong with me? And I thought it was my fault, and I just wanted to end it. I had nothing to live for, nothing. I didn't know about God or His grace or His love. I was so empty. And God saved my life from that situation, and And then I'm going to tell you about how I became that hopeless situation. I became what I never wanted to be. I was placed with Christians, and wonderful Christian people that loved me, accepted me for who I was, and I pushed them away. For a while, I tried to be part of their family. I tried to go to church and do what church kids do, but I wasn't a church kid. I grew up in a different circumstance, different lives, and I had so much stuff inside of me. I thought God could never love me. God could never forgive me. God would never have a plan for my life. I would look at myself and just cry, just cry all the time, thinking how despicable I am inside, all those emotional baggages that I was carrying around on my back every single day. Never would I imagine that there would be a God out there that would love me enough. And people my whole life I've never loved. I've never trusted anybody. I built up so many walls, and I would never let anybody in. I didn't let my aunt and uncle close to me. Every time they would try to hug me, I'd pull away because I was scared that they were going to hit me or hurt me, or one day they were just going to leave me like everybody else. I just didn't care about life anymore. I had no meaning of life. I didn't believe in God. I became very hard. My heart became hard, and I didn't feel, I didn't cry, I didn't have any emotion. All I had was anger inside of me, and I tried to cover it up with drugs. I tried to cover it up with music and with friends and with guys and with everything that the world has to offer. I went to psychologists. I went to so many different things that the world says this will fix you, this will fix what's inside of you, and the only thing that ever fixed it was Jesus Christ. All these dead ends that I was just going down, and by the grace of God, when I was 15 years old, my aunt found out about Freedom Village. It's a home for troubled teens, and I thought I didn't need that. That's not going to fix me. It's all about God there. I don't want to go there. I already tried it. I already tried God, and it didn't work. But I had no other option. I was either going to go there or juvenile hall, so I said, hey, Freedom Village may not be that bad. When I first entered the program, I was very hard. I was full of hurt and pain, and people tried to love me there, and I pushed them further away. The more people tried to love, the more I hated, and I felt the more God loved me, the more I'd hate him. I hardened my heart, but for about 5 months I lived in that hole and that blackness and that loneliness, and I wouldn't let God be the God that pulled me out of that pit. I thought I could do it on my own. One night I was just laying in my bed, and God wrapped his loving arms around me, and he put all the broken pieces of my life back together. Never could I have done that. Never could I have healed those wounds that were so deep. Never could I have put a smile on my face. Never could I have loved again or felt joy. But Jesus Christ did it all. He healed me, and he made, a daughter of drug addicts and a nothing in this world, an orphan. And he made me the daughter of a king. And, my sins, every time I spit on his face, wet as snow. Nothing I could have done in this world. All the psychologists that told me that I would just have to, forgive and do things like that. No, it was about Jesus Christ's forgiveness for me and his plan for my life. Never thought that my life would be worth something or that I would help other people. And he just healed my broken heart. I can't explain it. I can't put a finger on it, but I know that I'm happy inside now. It's nothing that I've done. And God just loved me, and that little girl. That little girl that nobody loved. He ran after me. God ran after me. I didn't have to go looking. I didn't have to be all clean and all perfect. And, he ran after me, and all I had to do was reach out to his love. And he never let me go. And now I have the awesome privilege of going around and telling my testimony and telling people that there is hope. And no matter what you go through, no matter what pits you're in, Jesus Christ's arm will reach down so deep, and he'll pull you out of that. No matter how far you think you could run from God, he'll always catch up to you. He'll always embrace you. He'll always be there if you want to turn back. And I get to work there now. And I get to tell them that there is somebody that loves them, and that all the bad things that happen to their life, that they can glorify God with it, that they could help others, and they could give hope, and they could give a purpose for other people. God saved me from so much, and I'm just so grateful. It's nothing I've done. I couldn't will myself out of that pit. I couldn't climb out of it. It was too deep. It was too black. It was too dark. I could have never done that on my own. Jesus Christ saw purpose in that. He saw a purpose for that broken little girl. And he lifted me up now, and now I get to go tell others about His awesome power is His awesome love and His awesome grace. And there is no hopelessness in Jesus Christ. The next song is going to be talking about the cross and how Jesus Christ died for me, that broken little girl. And He died for everybody, no matter if you've been in that hopelessness, no matter if you have a broken life, Jesus Christ died for you and for me and for all searching people and lost people out there that need His love. For me, the cross means so much more than a man dying for me. It means He gave His life for me because He loves me. Love is a big thing for me. People throw the word around a lot, but to me, love is what saved me. It wasn't fear of hell. It wasn't anything like that. It was the love that He had for me, that somebody could actually love me. That disgusting little girl that I felt inside, He loved that, and He forgave that. He cleansed that. I just hope that you listen to the next words of the song talking about His love and how He died for us. He died for that little girl, and He died for me. Thank you for listening.